Welcome to Omi Storytime. I'm glad you're here today. Today we're going to read The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig, illustrated by Patrice Barton. The Invisible Boy. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first, then the best friends of the best players, then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. "We've got enough players for each team," he tells the others. "Let's play ball." In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. "The rope swing over the pool was awesome," says JT. "Yeah, so was the water slide," adds Fiona. "Best pool party ever." "I'm so glad you guys had fun," says Madison. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings. Space aliens locked into intergalactic battles. Greedy pirates digging for treasure. And superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. "What's that?" asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. And he says, "It's bulgogi." And JT says, "Bull what?" And Justin explains, "Bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some?" And JT says, "There's no way I'd eat booger gogi." And the kids all laugh. All of them, that is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack. He notices a piece of paper with his name on it. And the note says, "Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian." And that looks like a picture of Brian. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk in the ground and starts drawing. "You're Brian, right?" "Yeah." "Thanks for the note." "Hey, Justin," Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. "You're up next." "Sorry, I gotta go," says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Then Justin says, Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. Look at them working together on the project. They look like they're having fun. Wow, look at the project. What fun pictures. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout. Hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. And Justin says, Cookie? And Brian says, thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. The end. Was that a good story? How do you think Brian felt being invisible and being not included? Have you ever been not included when other kids were playing? I bet that made you very sad. So you need to remember next time, if you have the choice to include other children, you should always choose to include them, right? So that they're not sad. It's important to make others feel included. I'm so glad you joined me today. Until next time.